you don't do it in one. Um, you don't do it in one setting. It's a very gradual process. Shane, shane, step by step, gradually. That's how Srila Prabhupada translates it. So Sri Krishna is telling, like, this step is to be done very slowly and gradually and with patience. One needs to do it, like, one should be one should not become what do you call impatient. So one has to do it very patiently and then gradually continue on the process, and that's how it is achieved. Now, in the few what Lord Krishna is talking in these shlokas in this chapter is actually based on Ashtanga Yoga, but like Srila Prabhupada actually connects it to Bhakti Yoga. Like, so what is the difference? The difference is like till the point of till the point, once we get to the point of this dhyana, we discuss like the 8 limbs of Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. I don't want to go over them, but I'll just name them: Yam, Niyama, Asana, Asana. Then what is that? The breathing. Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So they're the 8 limbs. So in this, actually, in this verse, Srila Prabhupada is actually talking about, if you read the purpose, Srila Prabhupada talks about 2 limbs. One is Pratyahara and then Samadhi. So till one gets to the point of, dhyana, like the process may seem a little different because in the Ashtanga Yoga, you have to go through this entire exercise. Yam, Niyam. We also have Yam and Niyam. Like, what is Yama is like the things you're not supposed to do. That's the 4 regulative principles. So that can be related to our, So Yama means like avoiding all unethical practices. So we also avoid, when we avoid this 4, when we do this 4, when we take up this 4, the 4 regulative principle, automatically we avoid all unethical practices. So in Yama, like if Nashna, they tell you, do not lie, do not steal, do not do this, do that. So, but when you actually follow the 4 regulative principles, you will, if you look at it carefully, you will see that all those unethical practices are being, avoided. You are able to avoid it automatically. You don't have to make a separate effort for it. Like, when you say like, do not eat meat, no fish, no meat, no eating. There, when you do that, you're automatically like being non-violent. You're not killing anything. And then when they say do not gamble, the propensity to cheat is gone. Because why do people gamble? To make more money, or to acquiring more material things. That's the reason people gamble. So when you say don't gamble, the propensity of like cheating people and acquiring material stuff, that's actually automatically avoided. And what's the other one? Like, no intoxication. So when you do intoxication, when you avoid intoxication, what does intoxication do to your brain? It makes you think in a, you don't see things as it is. So when you don't see things as it is, you tend to do like, you tend to do several things which are not really meant for, conducive to your health, wealth, or even spirituality. So when you stick to no intoxication, what happens is you start thinking things clearly. Whatever you read, whatever you do, start making sense to you. So, and finally, no illicit sex. So what's the problem with illicit sex? Illicit sex is one of the hardest thing. Like it actually reinforces the idea that you are the body. So, and the whole teaching, the entire teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is you're not this body. I mean, any spirituality, any stream of spirituality you go, that what they try to teach you is like you're not the body or spirit, soul, any religion across the board. So, but illicit sex, it actually creates the, it reinforces the idea that you are the body. So what I'm trying to say here is all the 4 regulative principles, they are equivalent to Yama in Ashtanga Yoga. And then there are other things we should do, like, like which is like Niyama, like, get up in the morning, chant our rounds, offer prasadam to Krishna. So that's um, so those are the niyama. Then other thing like is which they have it is like um, asana and pranayama. We don't really do those things. We just engage in devotional service. What we try to do instead of like pranayama and like what we try to do is we try to develop a relationship with Krishna. So that's the difference. And then again, when you reach the and then what happens because of that, you're able to withdraw your senses. Same thing. When we do devotional service, we develop a relationship with Krishna. Our senses, we don't withdraw our senses. What we do, we try to satisfy the senses of Krishna. So in a way, it's withdrawing our senses, but we're trying to satisfy the senses of Krishna. So pratyahara, which is like withdrawing our senses, it automatically happens when we develop a relationship with Krishna. Our what we do is try to satisfy the senses of Krishna, and when that happens, pratyahara automatically happens for us, because then we will not be looking to satisfy our tongue. We'll be trying to look at satisfy Krishna's tongue. We'll not be looking. We'll not be like try to satisfy our sense of hearing, our sense of seeing. All the time we'll be seeing like how beautiful Krishna is. We'll be trying to listen to kirtan, and in a way, like our senses are purified. So and then we come. Once we come to the point of dhyana, dhyana is like where people, the yogis are actually then thinking of the Paramatma in that. But we know Paramatma is nothing Krishna, it's nothing but Krishna, but we're thinking of Bhagwan. So when we come to the position of dhyana, then it becomes very similar. Except that Krishna consciousness is you don't have to make you don't have to make an effort, it just comes as you start practicing devotional service, it just comes automatically. So that's the main reason, and it's a lot more easier. Like, if just imagine you have to sit, in Ashtanga, you have to sit in like the Padmasana, like the yoga position, Padmasana, for like hours and hours and hours. It's so difficult. I mean, you can probably do it by practice, or, you can do it, but just think it's so difficult. You have to make, a lot of effort. But instead, if you have to just chant and offer, our bhoga to Krishna, listen to kirtan, it's you're not making any effort on yourself. It's like they say, like the kitten, how the kitten, like the monkey way and the kitten way. Like the monkey has to carry, when the monkey carries the baby is actually has to hold very hard to the mother's back. Otherwise, there's danger of the baby falling off. But what does the kitten do? The kitten will actually bite the cat. What will the cat do? The cat will, when it wants to carry the baby, the cat will actually bite the kitten, like by the neck. They're very, and the cat will be very careful about carrying the kitten. The kitten will not fall. So it's, it's very difficult for the kitten might fall at times, but it's very difficult. It's much easier to get across. So that's the point I'm trying to make here. So that's the main difference between Ashtanga yoga and Bhakti yoga. So, but like coming to this, then there are some similarities. What it's saying is like in the verse, gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone. So again, what Krishna is saying, it's not a slow, it's a very slow process, step by step, gradually. And one should become situated in trance. Becoming situated in trance means like withdrawing your senses. That's what Srila Prabhupada explains, pratyahara. So what does one do? Slowly, step by step, one starts practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, which actually becomes sadhana bhakti, which finally evolves into prema bhakti. So if you look at like, I just got one slide here. This is actually from the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. That's a book. That's Nectar of Instruction by Srila, and this is text 3. It says Utsaha Nischya Dhairya Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyaga Sato Vrita Sadbhir Bhaktir Prasidhyati. Translation: there are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, abandoning association of non-devotees, following the footsteps of the following previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure complete success of pure devotional service. So it's uh, so, somehow or the other, we have to try to cultivate all this, like the 6 points which are given here. First of all, we got to be enthusiastic, like enthusiasm is very, any activity you want to do, you have to be enthusiastic. Otherwise, after a while, if you don't like it, you'll just get bored and you'll just leave it. Then you have to endeavor with confidence. You should have and what does confidence, where does confidence come from? It comes from faith. And how is faith developed? Faith is developed by, by like listening, like Shravanam. Faith is by hearing, chanting, and remembering, like by Shravanam. So, and then like being dhairya is like patience. Like you have to be patient, like as you're practicing it. So you have to develop the knowledge. When you develop your knowledge, it'll give you confidence, and when it gives, and then the confidence will make you patient, or both ways. In like like if you're patient, it has worked for the other acharyas. We have seen examples. We have examples in our own movement. We have examples, like how it's worked for so many people. So similarly, it's going to work for us. We have to be confident of that, and we have to have faith. So and faith is again increases by Shravanam and Kirtanam, like hearing of the Lord's pastimes, reading the reading literature like from Srila Prabhupada. So then again, other thing is like abandoning association of non-devotees. That's another thing which is like, Srila Prabhupada always said we should give our association to the non-devotees. That's how we preach. We preach. We give out our book. We sell the Bhagavad. We distribute the Bhagavad Gita. We give them prasadam. All those things, like we try to give them our association, but we do not take association from them. So the way we do not take association from non-devotees is we do not hang out with non-devotees for reasons other than spreading Krishna consciousness, or somehow or other it has to be connected with Krishna. We do not hang out with them for frivolous reasons. We do not. If we hang out with them for frivolous reasons, and Krishna is not like a topic of discussion there, or there's nothing to do with Krishna, that means we are getting their association. So it's so instead of giving them our association, we'll be taking their association, which if that happens, their mentality might affect us, and we might slowly fall down. So that's so it's like these things happen very gradually. Many a times, we have seen like what happens. People come to Krishna consciousness. They love the kirtan, they love the prasadam. They just like they take into it like very naturally, very fast. But many of them, like it's probably from some previous lives, the kriti or something that happens. But at times you have seen they come in and they slowly they're very, very enthusiastic in the beginning, and then they slowly fall away. And many times the reason for that is association of non-devotees, because they are not they don't know the complete science, and probably they're too early, or they've not started reading. So but they still associate with non-devotees, and if that association is very strong, there's every chance they may just fall off, because then they'll later on start noticing little faults, like they might feel, oh, this prasadam is a little dirty, or it's not tasty, or something. They might some little things, flaws they might they'll come to notice, and then their faith is not that strong, so for them to disregard the flaws and then understand like those are like minor things. They just make mountain of like mountain of a molehill, like you can say. And there's just fall off. And this is most of the reason is because of association with non-devotees. And following in the footstep, and like I said before, we have seen what our previous our acharyas have done, how they have practiced Krishna consciousness. So, and to get to their level, like of practice or bhakti, it might be very difficult. That's why the steps are declared. Sri Krishna says it has to be very gradual, slowly, with patience. That's what we need to do. Now, like other thing, like yeah, other thing is like we have this body, right? And we are in the material world. So what happens is, as long as we are in the material world, we have to associate with matter, and because we still have our senses. So what happens when you're doing this dhyana yoga? You might be to get to the point of dhyana yoga. You are like you are actually meditating on Paramatma. It is good, but if the loving relationship has not developed, and I said, like in bhakti yoga, we come to the level of dhyana by means of developing a loving relationship with Krishna. But if you're doing the Ashtanga yoga, that might not have come to its full fruition. So what happens? There is still engagement with the material world. So it's so what will a devotee do? He will use everything that is material in service of Krishna. Because he's like he's not dissociating from material world. And he'll also, like I said about the senses, his senses will also be used in the service of Krishna. But what happens to people like yogis? It's very easy for them to fall down because there is that the love is not there, and they probably do not. And when there are too many material, material distractions, it's very easy for them to fall down. We know the story of like we have repeated the story many times of a difference. Like what's that? Haridas Thakur, who was a devotee, he was tempted like many times by Maya. He never fell down, but we know the story of Vishwamitra. It's like he fell down like just by once because of his pride, other time because of his lust. Like he heard the anklets of and he fell down. Those two examples are there for us. We have repeated this, so we can see like how even though he had reached the position of he had become a yogi, it was easy for him to fall down. But a devotee like a bhakta like Haridas Thakur, one who's practicing bhakti yoga, he didn't fall down because of his his love for Krishna. That's the main reason. Like he didn't, his all his senses were engaged in the service of Krishna. But Vishwamitra, it was not like that. So he fell down. So that's, you can see the a very good example there, like how how different, how it is, like how it happens. So what and how does the devotee do that? Like because of our because we have the proper intelligence and we use our intelligence, and that intelligence is it comes because of knowledge, and that's why it's very knowledge comes from scriptures. So it's very important, like we associate with devotees, like who can give us proper knowledge, and we try to study the Bhagavad Gita and other Bhagavatam and other literature. So if that happens, like if you read the Bhagavad Gita, you're worshiping, if you're worshiping Krishna with your brain, and to make you more intelligent. And when it makes you more intelligent, the chances of you doing nonsense is less. So that becomes it becomes much easier to pursue devotional service. Other thing is, like Sri Krishna says in there's in chapter 2, Yeah, susukham kartum avyayam. Rajavidya rajaguhyam pavitram idam uttamam pratyakshagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It's purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of self-realization, it's the perfection of religion. It's everlasting and it's joyfully performed. So what he's saying, it's about devotional service. Devotional service brings us joy. When we have developed a relationship with Krishna and we perform it like without any, it becomes very joyful. So when it becomes joyful, then what happens? We don't want to do anything else. All our senses are not led by other things which happen around us. Uh, we want to do is like we want to do things for the object of our love, which is Krishna, and that gives us the greatest pleasure. And when that happens, it'll be very joyful. Like we'll do it very joyfully. We won't need to but on the other hand, because there may not be an object of love, doesn't give them much pleasure. They're forcing their senses. They're restricting their senses, and those because of that, um, it's. Sorry, I'm getting a call. Let me just decline. So what happens is, where was I? Yeah, because there's no joy in it, it's and the senses are being artificially restrained. Maybe once you come to the point of dhyana, it is not. But before that, it's till you come to the point, it's very easy to fall down. So, but devotional service is not like that. It gives us joy, and that's why we give it more. Like there's no need of separate sense gratification. Like there's another shloka which goes with it. No, this is a very famous shloka by Yamunacharya. We know Yamunacharya was the guru of Sri Ramanujacharya, and he said this Yad avati mama cheta Krishna padara vinde nava navarasa dhamani udyatam ratum ashit tad avadi bata nari sangame smaryamane bhavati mukha vikara sutu nistivanam cha. Since my mind has engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and I have been enjoying ever new transcendental humor, whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my face at once turns from it and I spit at the thought. This is what happens. Like I said, four regulative principles, no illicit sex. Illicit sex is like one of the, or sex is one of the most, thing that brings us the most sense gratification. And very often many devotees fall down because of that. And we just saw the example of Vishwamitra. Many devotees, even in our movement, like senior sannyasis, have fallen down because of this desire for illicit sex. But what happens, like real devotion to Krishna, what does it bring? Since my mind has engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, I have been enjoying ever new transcendental humor. Humor means happiness, or it's bringing him new. So you can see, like service to Krishna, it takes away all other thoughts. We get pleasure from serving Krishna. We get pleasure from doing devotional service. That's what it is. And in our own movement, again, we have seen like all the. I don't have. Okay, there's a verse like I thought I put it in here. If you go like chapter 2, verse 59, it says, Vishya vinivartante niharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopi asya param drishva nivartate. The embodied souls may be restricted from sense enjoyment. The taste of sense objects remain. But ceasing such engagements, experience a higher taste is fixed in consciousness. So what happens when we are in devotional service? Srila Prabhupada talks of the higher taste. No. So when you have the higher taste, you don't want to go back. to a lower taste, right? This is what this verse by Yamunacharya is also happening. He's experienced a higher taste by devotional service to Krishna because he's engaged in the service on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So because of that, he's enjoying a higher taste. But that doesn't happen when you're like artificially restricting your senses when you may be practicing Ashtanga yoga. So those things. So you have to remember, like this devotional service gives you more joy. So all these things have to be taken step by step. It doesn't come overnight. Like we also know like what happens this the story of William Mangala Thakur. So what happens? The story of William Mangala Thakur, like he realizes like he's attracted to women, and because of one he goes to a prostitute, and the prostitute tells him at one time, like the effort you make to come and see me, if you've made the same effort to go to Lord Krishna, you should make the same effort. Then he realizes what a fool he is. He's spending all his time thinking of a prostitute and stop thinking of Krishna. And then he realizes the main reason is because of his sense of seeing. When he sees a beautiful woman, he loses control. So what happens is he goes to he once sees a Brahmin's wife, and he goes and tells the Brahmin, he's staying as a guest in a Brahmin's house. Then he sees the Brahmin's wife, and he says, okay, I want to I want to enjoy her. So the Brahmin, because of his like maybe because a guest or something, and we have that Atiti Devo Bhava, so he tells his wife to go and and then again he realizes, so he asks the Brahmin's wife for her hairpin, and he takes the hairpin and he pierces his eyes. And then he became one of the greatest devotees of the Lord, because then his sense of seeing was like that didn't bother him anymore, and he was able to focus on Krishna completely. And then he became purified, and he wrote a very famous which is like Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Like I'm sure many of you must have heard that that piece of devotional poem. Or so he wrote that. So that's another example. So what happens? What we need to do here is, in this verse, is we have to take slowly, like step by step, gradually. Like it is like we call this bhakti lata, right? Like the devotion is also called as bhakti lata. So we first sow it like at a bhakti lata beach in like garden, and then it slowly sprouts out. We have to water it. We have to water it with devotional service like Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam. That's the watering of it. And then we have to keep the weeds away from it, like so not associating with non-devotees and those kind of practices. Doing anything that is not Krishna conscious. Those things will actually, those are the weeds. So we have to keep watering the weeds. Then it'll sprout slowly, and it'll become like a full, like a plant, like bhakti. Then the bhakti will blossom, and that's so. It has to be done with patience. It happens gradually. But one thing we must avoid is what they call is, the elephant offense or something they call it, and that is Vaishnava Ninda or Vaishnava Aparad. You have to. That's very dangerous, because what happens? That's like an elephant, and when an elephant comes into a garden, it'll trample everything, cause a rampage, and this sprout like this little plant. The Bhakti Lata has no way of withstanding that. So one needs to be very careful of, as one is practicing, one needs to be very careful about not doing Vaishnava Aparad. I mean, there are other offenses as well, which can actually hinder our progress, which are like the 10 offenses while chanting and all that. But we can overcome that by practicing. We can overcome that. But Vaishnava Aparad is something which it happens. Krishna gets very upset. He doesn't like his devotees being blasphemed or ridiculed or anything. So in that case, what happens? The punishment is like our devotion goes away completely, and then then I don't know, that we might have to get some other Sukriti to come back, and it's like just caught up in the samsara. So that's very important. Like we avoid the Vaishnava apara. So we just do this patiently. We continue on the process, and try to understand Srila Prabhupada and be patient, and we'll all get there. And Srila Prabhupada will take us all back to Godhead, because we've climbed on his boat. We just have to make sure like we do not jump off it, by committing Vaishnava aparadha and hanging around with like non-devotees and all that. So I'll finish here, and please, any questions or anything that can be answered, that can be, we can discuss it. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Anyone? Any comments? Very good. Samesha Prabhu? Hare Krishna?
I think Semester Prabhu is busy. Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, okay. So like I thought I was like I kind of, I got removed or something, but you heard it, right, Puneet Prabhu, what I said?
Yes, Prabhuji. Wonderful,
Okay,
wonderful
well,
lecture. Yeah. I mean,
thank you.
definitely. And all.
Okay,
Greatly
so
done.
I thought I got kicked out or something because. So any questions, Prabhu?
Nothing really, Prabhuji. Just like I said, wonderful class. You gave us the understanding about how to, divert our senses from material businesses and get into devotional service, and how that helps, because definitely we are being given the senses and we have to utilize them in the right manner. And the wonderful example you brought, you cited out about Jamal and how, things office bad habits, they could destroy a bhakti lata beach, and very difficult to come back, and especially Vaishnava crowd. Thank you, Prabhuji, very much.
Right. Thank you, Prabhu. All right. If everybody, I think we can finish here, right? Or Ramesha Prabhu is like, I think is. Can somebody ping him, Prabhu? Like, oh.
Yeah, let me try.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry. Sandhya altar.
Oh yeah, Prabhu. So,
Yeah,
actually,
I was always listening. Have the earbuds. So I'm always listening what is. So I don't miss any single word.
okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for a wonderful class. Yeah, if anything else, anybody else has anything to discuss? Okay, if there is nothing else, then let's conclude. Is that okay? Okay, let's pay our obeisance to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya evacha padidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nanda Gaudi Vaishnavanda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. Jai. Thank you. Thank you,
Are we
everybody.
gonna
Thank
have
you so
the
much.
book distribution call, Prabhu? Because I don't see Mataji is available. Looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe
Just remind, start at 8 o'clock. I'll be joining little late. But please start and see that how many devotees joins. Then otherwise we can, or we can keep it open this call. Can discuss. What do you suggest?
Either way, it's fine, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we do. Okay. And
Yeah,
devotees. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say just wanted to touch base on the coming event.
The Bhadra Purnima, right?
Right, yes. And also the Oak Tree Rath Yatra.
Rath Yatra, yes. These are the two topics today. Yes, agreed. Yeah, I mean, what all we need actually, you already have the bags are already there, out there, right? And the books are also out there. Same like Atlantic City. We should
Yes, I think you're
sorry.
right. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so that we can pack everything and then we can distribute out to the devotees so they can distribute during the Rath Yatra to all the people. And then we will not have book table because of they don't allow any tables or anything, but rather just the backpacks.
But they don't allow any table, like especially where they're serving the prasadam at the end. No.
That's a house. It's a kind of packed house,
So,
and then it's roadside.
so it's going to be really on the way as you
On the
proceed.
way, yeah, on the way at the beginning and to meet the people, like that. So
we'll be having our rath, like used to have it before, or like a little.
yeah, we need to be reached there at the beginning where the parade starts. We need to reach there early, otherwise, with the books and the cars, they won't allow us to drive. So probably by 1 o'clock we have to reach there, and then we have to have the backpacks and everything, and then we need to start to distribute to the people.
But will we have a chariot? I mean, remember we were having a chariot earlier.
Yeah, we'll be having chariot. We'll having a big chariot.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's fabulous. I mean, that's.
Yeah, that's like Atlantic City Rath Yatra chariot, the same chariot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. That's good.
Okay.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. And the second thing, 1 o'clock. So we can also send the details out, Puneet Proji, to all our groups that, please be ready and participate so that devotees can join.
Yeah, I have been talking about Neeta Mataji, and she seems to be fine. She's very happy to join and contribute.
Right.
Then check with Uchi Mataji also, and Srimati Mataji.
Yeah.
And and I guess Devama Mataji also, and Janki Mataji. Janki Mataji is there.
Right. Wonderful. Very nice. Yeah, this week, Saturday is busy week. A couple of programs. I don't think it's a good idea that we take some time to go out or do some Sagara Sankirtan. Probably we can, after the Rath Yatra, probably we can start the Nagara Sankirtan maybe is the 14th or 15th weekend. Yeah, still maybe we'll plan. Maybe we can do it on this Sunday. It's also anyway difficult. And so
no,
yeah.
2 days.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Then mainly we have to develop our Bhadra Purnima campaign. So I think what about? I mean, I was thinking of making a flyer someday so we can send it out. Is that a good idea or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, flyer is needed because otherwise it's going to be not as attractive. Be just like a message.
Yeah. So then the Bhadra Purnima is on September. It's already, all the other temples already started. And I think it's on October 20 or Bhadra Purnima. Yeah, no, September 20 is the Bhadra Purnima.
Okay.
So that means we have almost like August, September, like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So probably we need to start the campaign to receive or to write the the ways that we can distribute more Bhagavatam this year. Different ideas. So we can collect the ideas maybe throughout our WhatsApp group, so that so that we can probably in couple of few meetings from now, so we can completely finalize everything, right? So maybe
Right.
door to door, maybe calling out the people, maybe venues or the programs, and reaching out to the people in our database. This was we were doing for the other day, like the Gaura Purnima. So we can induce devotees to do that, service.
Okay.